LuXx. What does the name mean? Where did it come from?
So Fiat LuXx, I think when I was trying to pick a name for myself and what I wanted to represent, I wanted to make sure that it told the story a little bit of who I am, you know, my roots, my Latin roots. So I wanted to make sure it was, I guess, I wanted something in Latin that had a good meaning, positive meaning, something that looked good on paper, and that would be catchy. And so I when I kind of stumbled upon Fiat LuXx in Latin, which means let there be light, it really kind of stuck with me. It popped, and I just ran with it, and yeah, that's what it is nowadays.
How did you get into the scene? Was this when you were a kid growing up, or?
Yeah, you know, I think for everyone, and I feel like any artist, on how they get into any craft and within themselves, like even yourself and what you're doing. I think there's definitely so many steps that it's kind of hard to answer within, you know, a few minutes, but I think it really, I kind of always had the curiosity, and there was definitely something innate in me that always wanted to curate for example, I used to make CDs back in the day, and I would always kind of tell a story through the CDs, and like how, like from 1 till 12 or 15 tracks that I had on there, it was a progression. It was never like, you know, just random tracks and things like that. I definitely, you know, kind of stuck with that, and I think I could never really afford the equipment, for example, so or necessarily, but I knew that you know, the minute that I could, I would get into it. So you know, I think as a broke college student, all I could do was download Tractor and just kind of mess around with it on a laptop with my, you know, trackpad and mouse and stuff like that, which, you know, was no fun. But the minute I could get my hands on you know, equipment and stuff, it just kind of blew from there. And I think, you know, the minute I invested on my own equipment and started meeting, you know, kind of pushing myself out there, putting myself out there and meeting, you know, with club owners and trying to get a residency somewhere, and I mean, it just kind of spirals from there. You know, I think in this scene you really have to, and I think that it applies to much more than just the scene, but I think in life you really just kind of have to open your own doors and offer opportunities for others first and foremost, and I think you know, everything just kind of goes from there, and it just kind of takes you on your way. So yeah, that's kind of, you know, in a gist, my journey through it.
Can you tell us about Echo House, the idea around it?
Yeah.
Any stories?
Yeah, Echo House was most definitely the most, I think, impactful and memorable and deepest experience of my life, without a doubt. I think a business model of that sort is very, very unique, to be in a position, in a place to where you can do that and to understand it in such a way to even make it anything. So I think I feel blessed for sure, to have been able to connect with so many people and so many things. Even myself, you know, I learned a lot about myself, a lot about the scene, a lot about what people need, want, who they are at the end of the day, to expand your mind, you know, and your soul, really. And how to host people, how to be responsible for, you know, for, I guess, for people you care about, for a scene you really care about. And, you know, I think that was the goal. I think the whole process of Echo House was really to allow it to grow organically. And that was something that to this day is something I'm very glad that it happened that way. And you know, I think it's something that I will apply and have been applying to every other business venture that I'm kind of, you know, pursuing, or even, you know, even musically. It's I think that's the way it is. Your intuition and things like that are so powerful that I think you know, it's of utmost importance, you know. So so yeah, Echo House was without a doubt memorable for myself. I think, you know, for Denver, it definitely made a difference, and now I'm very, very happy about that. And I think it was definitely a team effort for sure. You know, it definitely wasn't myself. It wasn't just Seth or Kevin. It was definitely us three coming together, but then also us coming together with Denver. And not only Denver, but really the world, you know, bringing in artists from everywhere else and everything, and trying to make it as organic as possible. I think musically, and my influences have, you know, changed. I mean, the story, let's say back at home with my parents, was completely different, which really, I can't be thankful enough for my journey, because it really has been an exploration, I think, musically, that has at the end resulted in me being where I'm at. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, at home it was really classical music and Latin music most of the time. There was definitely a record that I remember my dad showing me, by Tomita. It was like he's a Japanese producer that just recently died, but it was a very weird record, and it always stuck with me as a kid. It was noises and sounds I've never heard of, and you know, my dad explained to me that they were made with computers and things, and I was like, you know, up until then all I've heard was instruments and voices and things like that. So it definitely sparked my curiosity. After that, I think, you know, just through being young, trance, and then, you know, house music, tech house, you know, I mean, deep house, you name it, you know, like, you know, currently definitely have I think, a great understanding for myself and what techno is for me. I think that I'm very happy and very curious, and I just want to keep pushing the limits on how I understand techno, play techno, produce techno, what I'm looking at, like how many more influences I could take perhaps from other artists, other genres, anything out there. I just want to kind of incorporate it into this, let's say, genre, which is very broad at the end of the day. So yeah, I think my journey has been luckily a healthy one, and I plan on keeping it that way. So yeah, set preparation, or I guess performing music and curating a set per se, it's definitely a very interesting, and most definitely the most fun and how do I say it? I guess almost challenging process of this whole thing as a DJ. I think for me, I think I definitely have found my niche as far as how, like, where I get my, you know, my sources musically from, and always exploring and traveling a lot definitely helps, because you're exposed to so many other sounds, artists, but not only that, I think like pushing myself to, let's say, and not even pushing it, like organically, I really enjoy jazz music, classical music throughout the week, where it really cleans the palate again. And then for some reason, something or another will come and you'll listen to, let's say, a set somebody sent you, or you're just on YouTube and something comes up, and then you start exploring that and who's that artist, and you just kind of go a rabbit hole. And I think every DJ knows how that works, when you sit down and you start finding music and you get lost for hours and hours, and it's like a very, very fun process. But besides that, you know, finding the music, of course, is the first step. The second step is being absolutely and almost ridiculously organized with your library, and trying to think of the best way that you can find these tools and use them as needed. And when you're, because that's the whole point of, you know, being creative on a set, and like really perhaps adapting to what's happening around you, you know, the people, the venue, the time of day. Everything is so important, but you could have a million amazing tracks, but if you don't know how to find them, it's no good. So I think, you know, I've actually told this to quite a few friends, but I mean, as of the last 3 years or so, I really dialed in my own system that works for me. And I think the day that I kind of figure that out, I definitely, you know, I could see a complete change. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, playing, for me, it's very, very important to push the limits, push my own limits, push the limits of musically what I can do, or what music can do. Also being spontaneous, random at sometimes is very important. Embracing mistakes at times is important. I think, you know, and challenging the crowd as well. I think it's always, those are the things that are very important to progress artistically. I think, you know, not be so comfortable all the time. Comfort is definitely necessary and important, but I think pushing limits and things like that is what makes a great set.
Tell us maybe one of your favorite places that you played at. Do you have a stored memory to share?
Yeah. I think luckily I definitely had the chance to travel and play different countries, different cities, within and outside the United States, back to my roots in Colombia and Europe and, you know, South America, Costa Rica, places like that. There's definitely, I think for me, it's when I get asked that question of what's your favorite or that kind of stuff, it's so hard to measure and tell, because you have favorite things about each place, that they are all unique and they all have their little essence in some way that are memorable. And I think even for every gig, I think there's, let's say here in Denver, played quite a few shows, and I think every gig has its own little element that you can't describe, that's just different and awesome, and it's hard to pick. So yeah, I think it's an incredible opportunity, and I think I don't take it for granted. I think for me it's of utmost importance to even share this with other people and help other people, while, you know, open opportunities for, let's say, other artists that are that are doing great things, that are congruent with perhaps what's happening, which is some of the main goals of where I'm going. I'm moving to Barcelona very soon to start a similar venture as Echo House, sort of more of a boutique hotel, but it really is, I think that's the whole point of that idea, is to, just like I've been given the opportunity to travel and do all these things, and I definitely don't have any plans on stopping that. Definitely want to continue doing that, but I think opening something like that in a place like Barcelona is what's really going to connect, for me, all the dots and all this energy, all these connections, all this momentum that was built with Echo House and through my life, traveling around and everything else, all in one place that is very appealing, progressive, open-minded, kind of, very healthy scene there. And yeah, so it's exciting. Yeah, I guess that's where I'm at.
Any interesting stories or something crazy you want to share about some of the places that you played at, or something that?
Yeah, there's been definitely quite a few crazy stories. I mean, I can't even. I don't know, the stuff that comes to my mind just because it's fresh. I just recently got back from Tampa, and I played a set that was like 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. in an island, my buddy's island, Johnny. What's up, homie? You're killing it out there. Best luck to you, buddy. But yeah, I think. I was there from 8:30 to 9:30. I had to play a gig at a club inside Tampa City from 1 to 3 a.m. And imagine being stuck in an island at 9:30, having to find a boat ride back, getting dressed, all this stuff, changing, grabbing your headphones, whatever you need, and head over there, catch an Uber. This whole process was very, very intense. I had confirmed the boat ride 2 days before, the day of, and everything, and then all of a sudden the guy just canceled, never showed up, never responded for my boat ride back. So I really had to improvise, basically. And crazy thing is, I say luckily for my sake, one of the stages, like the lights kind of went out because one of the generators ran out of gas. So my friend Johnny, whose islands is was very proactive on getting out of there to go grab more gas so they could fill it up and restart the lights. So eventually ended up making it back, getting the Uber back. I made it maybe 45 minutes before my gig. But I made it on time, so that was very intense. It was like, boat ride, changed within 5 minutes, Uber to the club, 45 minutes to chill and kind of like feel it out, and then, rock it out until like 3 a.m. So that was pretty unique. That's that experience.